try, mate.
I love that. Cameras is electric.
Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Testing, 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 1, 2.
Okay, testing, testing, 1, 2, testing. Nice level there.
Fantastic.
We're live now. I'll just focus on the players. Yeah. Cool. Sounds like a plan, mate. Easy. All right. Nick, what's your preferred game? Well, should we go on best allocator for the sake of just keeping all the mistakes? Yeah, I've got the goal notifications ready for the updates, but yeah, whenever they come through, updates. Yep. Oh, I thought it was 11. 10:30 a.m. 11. It's the same. Yeah, it's a brutal time slot in terms of getting the time off. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like you work till 10, you leave 10 to about. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a few the younger kids on the bench and stuff. But no changes, so a lot of them make full changes. Yes, mostly they all have squad. That'll be an interesting one. Huge game. Yeah. I am, yeah. I really don't know what to think of this. Depending on that. Yeah, it's an interesting one because I believe what they could get through, but victory at home will probably be really great game, so the chances of them. Have they played a new club? No, it's the same coach. Also now it's his extension. Yeah, double relegation. Yeah, Yeah. Oh, I don't mind it. When it's raining though, it's awesome. I don't know if it's cold or hot. It's weird, isn't it? In the shade, it's a bit cold. Yeah. Look, last time I was here was pretty dry, so yeah. That was fun, huh? Yeah, plenty. Yeah, they need a win. We're going to get a result. They're currently sixth. So if they lose this game, we'll must beat South Melbourne.
Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
That was fun. Had fun. The great NPL game. Yeah, I was at Manningham. Oh yeah, no, I remember that one as well. That was bonkers, wasn't it? Like Manningham scored, got it back to 4-4, and then yeah, right at the end. I haven't seen it pop up anywhere. I haven't seen it on Twitter. It's like the right side. Oh no, that's
Good afternoon and welcome to Olympic Village. It's the final round of the 2026 Senol NPL Men's Victoria season, and it is set to be a big one here this afternoon. Heidelberg United up against Bentleigh Green. So much riding on this game for these two sides this afternoon. Heidelberg looking to keep their championship defence alive for at least another week and lock in a spot inside the top six, while Bentleigh, they need to win. They need help, but not only win, they need to win big to keep themselves out of the relegation zone and avoid returning to VPL 1 on the first time of asking. My name is Nick Tabano, and I'm joined here today by Neil Simons for all the action. Neil, it's a big one for both of these two teams today. Heidelberg, the home side, finding a much needed victory last week against South Melbourne. Bentleigh winners as well against Bentleigh coming into this one, but it's all set up beautifully for a big game today.
Oh, absolutely so. And I think more pertinently for Heidelberg, it was their first win in quite some time, especially in the Senol NPLM Men's Victoria. For Bentleigh Greens, it was a very intriguing... I'm not sure if you can take much away from that 6-2 win against Melbourne City last weekend. Of course, Ross Matthews scored a hat-trick in that win at Casey Fields. But for Heidelberg, it was a topsy-turvy performance, but in the end, it was the two new signings, Kane Razmovsky and Christian Theoharis, with a remarkable goal in stoppage time to secure the win over the old enemy. But, of course, results need to go their way if they want to get themselves into the top six. But they're in control. If they get the win against the Bentleigh Greens, they will secure and shore up that top six position. But results going not their way this afternoon could put Caroline Springs, George Cross, and I can't believe I'm saying that, into the top six on the first time of asking.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye on what's going on over at City Vista and BT Connor Reserve, with both of those games having a lot riding on it for both Heidelberg and Bentleigh Greens. Both teams making their way out here on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon. Couldn't ask for better conditions here in Melbourne. Starting to get that spring feel that finals football is right around the corner. Starting lineup for Heidelberg today, they have made 3 changes from the side that beat South Melbourne on Sunday afternoon. One of those players going out of the team was the goal scorer, Kane Razmovsky. His other goal scorer, Christian Theoharis, is on the bench today. For Razmovsky out of the squad entirely. Asahi Okakawa and Jay McGowan dropped to the bench as well. Coming in is Carlo Sullivan, Chock Dow, and the returning Ben Collins. Fletcher Fulton also back in the squad today, and Anthony Theo dropping out of the squad entirely. So that starting lineup for Heidelberg: Yaron Souza, O'Sullivan, Collins, Ryan Lethlean, Tas Mudakudis, Anthony Lesiotis, Marcus Humbert, Kieran Bramwell, Tabena Rabani, and Chock Dow. Bentleigh, they have named an unchanged starting 11 from the side that beat Melbourne City. Withers in goals with Scott Hillier, Ross Matthews, Maki Petrados, George Mells, Dion Nicolaides, Mario Baldea, Yuto Kokorio, Campbell Dovison, and Ben Jeeba making up the starting lineup for the visiting Bentleigh. A lot on the line today, Neil. Bentleigh, of course, they are battling to survive and ensure that it is not straight back down to VPL 1. Of course, they were relegated in 2023. It took them 2 years to get back up. It's been a tough season for them. They started strongly through the season after a real poor run of form, but they've kept themselves alive today. They need so much to go their way. They need to win, and they need to overturn an 8-goal difference. So, you know what, Neil? They have to go for it, which means that it should be an end-to-end contest given what is on the line for both these two teams, and given the fact that Bentleigh, they need to score a lot of goals today.
I am getting flashbacks to the Wollongong Wolves Marconi fixture in the Australian Championship last year. I believe they needed a 6-0 win in order to progress to the round of to that quarterfinal, actually. Bentleigh need 8 this time, so it's going to be intriguing, a tough task at that. We've seen some big scorelines across the campaign for the Greens. Of course, the 7-0 loss to Melbourne City does come to front of mind. And of course, the 11-0 that Avondale secured over Dandenong Thunder. It would require a Herculean effort nonetheless, but also Preston Lions could potentially do them a favour. They're playing against the Altona Magic at the moment. That game is kicked off already. However, the Preston Lions have rotated just that little bit from their midweek fixture in the Australia Cup. So we'll see if results can go their way, but expect a very fast, attacking, and one-touch Bentleigh Greens this afternoon.
We're underway here at Olympic Village. Bentleigh in their home green kits, Heidelberg in yellow. Going from right to left as it really is a football feast to round out what has been a topsy-turvy 2026 campaign here in NPL Victoria. And a feast for all fans right across the state and the country who are watching on today on the NPL Victoria YouTube page. As I said, that both these two teams need results today. We will bring updates from right across the grounds.
Absolutely. So, of course, our eyes will be firmly on this Preston game, but also on Caroline Springs George Cross, who face South Melbourne at home. It's Bramwell towards Marcus Humbert. Alexander Zizis points to the corner flag. We'll have the first set piece of the afternoon. By virtue of Marcus Humbert, who's deputised in both attacking and also full-back positions, but I'm sure with Fletcher Fulton back and hopefully firing for the Burgers, he will have to be deployed as a fullback for the remainder of the campaign. Here is Marcus Humbert on that left foot. Selected for the Olyroos earlier this year. He sends it into the near post, headed away by Petrados. Sullivan, and now Doverson towards a clearance, and that shot did take a deflection. Go out for a corner. Of course, the two sides did meet in May of 2026 at Kingston Heath. Bentleigh Greens managed to come from behind, albeit for a brief period, to make it 2-1. And then, of course, the Burgers were able to secure themselves a 2-2 draw. Lucky Petranos with the double. He was chopped out. Driven in low, Doverson. Now is on running. He'll receive it in this right-hand space, but his former Thunder teammate, Tabena Obani, able to intercept. And we've got the two laptops out, Nick. We've got
got the full setup.
It's almost like a NPL Victoria goal rush, shall we say?
Absolutely. A ball there towards Petrados, but Collins does well to read it. Expect that Marky Petrados, if Bentleigh are going to win today and win big, he's going to have to get amongst it. He's been real constant up front for Bentleigh this season. He's scored 14 goals, 14 of their 27, so just over 50%, which is a remarkable return for the former Heidelberg man. Jeeba looking to get things moving. Going short there to Baldea, and Lesiotis getting across. The setter there to help out defensively, and Bentleigh are able to win the throw. He's looking to build up here through Baldea, looking for the runner of Doverson, but well telegraphed. Baldea. Here is Kamara. All the way back to Andrew Withers. Really, Neil, with some of the ex-Dandy Thunder players out there. There really is a whole host of them out there this afternoon who started the season at George Andrews Reserve. Baldea, this is one of them here in Jeeba. Bit of early defending here for Heidelberg to do. Baldea pops it into the area, and it takes a deflection. Left lean, couldn't clear it entirely. And Dow helps it clear. Humbert eating the sandwich there as Baldea and Mells do well to deal with it. Mells looking for the run there of Doverson. Ushered wide there by left lead. It's a good ball towards Petrados, but Collins did well. Baldea. And left lead's there to clear it away. Good pressing here from Bentleigh. Doverson, Petrados. To create some space here for himself. Out wide there to Baldea. Baldea floats it in, and it's nodded away only as far as Petrados. Here's Mells. He has a shot from the edge of the box, and Souza makes the save. And good start here from Bentleigh, Neil. We said they have to go for it, and they get the first real chance of the game there through George Mells.
He's been the conductor at the base of midfield. Is very involved in the build-up. Playing that through ball towards Doverson, and of course, Petrados more around the 18-yard box. Really imposing his influence early. Yeah, Error from Kalalu Kamara. It sees Bramwell through. And a great stop by Andrew Withers. And here is O'Sullivan to pick up the pieces on the right-hand side as Heidelberg's active supporter group find voice. Lesiotis. Out wide is Choctaw. High looping ball. It's towards Bisetto. Brantwell, can he get the shot off? He can't. Bisetto took a deflection. Mells can get it away, albeit as far as Tasmore to Curtis. Left lean. Well to step in. Sullivan. Lesiotis. Out wide is Choctaw. He's got a bit of space to send the cross in, and Mells is able to get it away. Collins. And now Dow. Towards Dow again. Towards the back. And here is Marcus Humbert. And Kalalu Kamara neatly bypasses the former Melbourne City youth product. Scored a second goal last week as well. And goal of the week. Mells. Matthews. Out wide. It's Maki Petratos. Isolated with Dow. Twirling onto his right. It's Maki Petratos. He's high and over the bar.
Well, Scott Hillier, massive let-off there. Just an uncharacteristic mistake there to open the door for Kieran Bramwell just a little bit earlier, but it was a good stop there from Withers. So Bramwell in that situation, you'd back him 9 times out of 10 to be putting that in the back of the net, but Withers, always veteran instincts, did well to deny the former Melbourne Knights striker. We do have our first goal of the day. It is coming from Churchill Reserve. St Albans leading against Dandenong Thunder. That game quite inconsequential at this stage of the season. Both those teams preparing for the off-season. Of course, Dandy Thunder already relegated. Bentleigh hoping not to join them. As Bramwell unable to find his man there in Dow.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one for the 3 teams in the relegation zone at the moment. Of course, the Greens started off the season tremendously well. And Caroline Springs George Cross have also opened the scoring against South Melbourne.
Wowee.
That is intriguing.
So, live ladder check at the moment, Neil. Georgies are level with Heidelberg, but Heidelberg still have their noses in front on goal difference. So, it's really thrown a cat amongst the pigeons to start this game. But what a start for Georgies if they're able to just put that pressure on Heidelberg, and if they can handle business. Massive result there at City Vista so far.
Oh, wow. It's the beauty of the final day, isn't it, Nick?
Abani, good control. Lesiotis, good press here from Bentleigh. Lesiotis out to O'Sullivan. Good to see Carl O'Sullivan back in the last few weeks. Taking the place here of Kane Razmovsky. Defended there by Nicolaides. Petratos. Ushered wide there by also the returning Ben Collins. Mells. Switching ball there to Baldea. Here come Bentleigh again. Dovison looking to make the run in between both Abani and left lean, and Dovison did well to win it back. Crosses it into the area, but straight into the waiting arms there of Yaron Souza. Good to see Campbell Dovison, Neil, start to get some string together consistent minutes at this level. We saw at South Melbourne. He was in and out of the lineup at times, and we've seen he has a thing for goals in big games, as we saw in the Doherty Cup final and earlier this year against the Preston Lions. He's hoping to have a big moment this afternoon. Left lane. Abani. Lesiotis, Bassetto making the run. Well played by Jeeba, only as far as Bramwell. And straight into the waiting arms there of Andrew Withers.
Bentleigh look a bit non-compact at the back. I think when Kieran Bramwell comes short, it's very easy for him to nip in behind and interchange really well with Anthony Lesiotis. And you can see the calming presence that Ben Collins provides Heidelberg at the back. Of course, they've been without him for the last 2 rounds. And that 5-4 loss to Hume City. And also that 2-1 win against South Melbourne last weekend. It's a smashing ball towards Max Vicetta. Front position. Starts to come off Max Vicetta.
So the only way that George Cross can catch Heidelberg today, Neil, if the result stays the same here, is they really need to pile on the goals. So don't think that that's likely. They'd have to score 6 more to be able to overturn that goal difference. I don't see South Melbourne allowing George Cross to score goals in that amount, but just makes things really interesting this afternoon that Heidelberg, it just goes to show they really need to handle business today. It's not just about Bentleigh, it's also about the Burgers too.
Yeah, 100%. And they might put on the afterburners here through Jock Dow. Now Matthews providing support. Kyle O'Sullivan sort of deputising as a central midfielder in possession. Given licence to roam by John Anastasiadis as Bentleigh picks up the space in the centre circle. Humbers. Bats it away. And, that pass from Bentleigh had too much mustard on it. Too nice for Benjiba now to take the throw. Altona Magic seem to have started really well against Preston too. Provides a lot of food for thought. They could potentially get themselves a goal. What that would mean for the finals race. Lesiotis, Vicetto, now Mutakutis, given licence to play the ball over the top, but can't execute it to full effect, and Withers will claim yet again.
Just on that, Neil, I mean, Preston still need to win today. They can still host the elimination final if they win and South Melbourne lose today. So there still is a lot on the line for them as well. So despite the fact Altona have started strongly, it's still pretty important for Preston that they handle business now as well. There's a collision there between Vicetto and Baldea. Mells. Dobson's made a nice run in between the two Heidelberg players, and Dobson looking for Petrados in the middle, and well played by Collins to get a foot in, and Lethlean clears. Dow. Humbert's making the run. Floats it over the top, but a bit too much on that one, and Withers is there to get across. And Campbell Dobson is looking the most likely at the moment to get in between those spaces between both Lethlean and Abani. Vicario out wide. Back on the 1-2. Mells. Baldea. Here is Jeeba. At the moment, the ones dictating proceedings for the most part of these opening 13 minutes. Abani does well to shield that one out there for a goal kick. Good to see Tabena Rabani kicking on at Heidelberg after really strong football Melbourne victory last season, a strong start to the season at Dandenong Thunder, but now here at Heidelberg and having a strong second half to the season. Been one of the bright lights in what's been a difficult second half of the year for them.
Oh, 100%. And I think he was very much in and out of the team at Dandenong Thunder, which we'd say is quite surprising on the balance of the quality that he had whilst at Victory. Of course, played alongside Parker Williams, who spent this season at the Dandenong Thunder. And let's not forget, he spent time at all 3 A-League youth teams, well, all 2 as we now know. You see a marauding run from Kyle O'Sullivan. It's Chock Dow. Again, to break the space and get the cross inside. But yes, talk about Tabena Abani, of course, played in that friendly match against Wrexham last year as well in July before being released, and he just has that unique way to bypass defenders and put the ball slightly ahead of him. He did that really well against South Melbourne last week in droves especially. Here is Scott Hillier. Kamara. Uta Couturier was asking for a long ball over the top.
More goals around the grounds, Neil. St Albans now 3-0
Oh my word.
against Dandenong Thunder in the first 15 minutes, and Melbourne City up against Green going 1-0.
Judging by the team that Dandenong Thunder put out this afternoon, it was subdued significantly, and essentially a lot of 23s players have made the step up, as they have for the second half of this season, or much of what you would say would be a rotated That North Thunder team has been even more so rotated, so unsurprising. A goal kick for Withers. Good work from Jibber. Of course, Members' Day here at the Olympic Village. Plenty of Heidelberg supporters coming out. That is their second consecutive phone match with a 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday. Withers now forced to go long. Baldeo wins the header. Left lead. Trying to not succumb to the pressure of Doverson and Petrados is Souza. Sullivan forced wide. They are enforcing a 9-man press. Nicolaides wins the head up. Of course, a Heidelberg Junior, Leon Nicolaides. Great ball towards Obani. He's got space for the cross. Goes it square. Humbert. Lesiotis incisively finds Humbert across the face. Jibber can't keep it in. Will be a corner to the Burgers. So Choctaw will now take the set piece. Suffered a brief injury lapse. Returning last week. Lesiotis, licensed to shoot. Oh! It took a deflection from Kieran Bramwell, but the Burgers have their lead. And he scored in his 2 last home games at the Village. And this one could prove enormous on the scope of Heidelberg's campaign.
Yeah, don't know how much Bramwell knew about it, but they're not going to be complaining. Missed a golden opportunity earlier in this first half, but he gets himself on the score sheet there. 7 goals now in the league this season for Kieran Bramwell. And that's a massive goal for the Burgers. It puts them one step closer towards locking in a finals berth, but that is a hammer blow for Bentleigh. They needed to win and win big this afternoon. And right now they find themselves behind, and that mountain was already... You know, it was already big coming into this game. It's just gotten that little bit steeper. But a big, big goal for Heidelberg. And I'm sure, after what's happening over at City Vista as well, a bit of relief as well for all the Heidelberg fans and those involved with the club this afternoon. So Kieran Bramwell giving Heidelberg the lead. A much, much needed goal there. It's been a difficult couple of months for Heidelberg. Of course, they started the season really strongly. The defence of their NPL Victoria Championship was looking quite fruitful. It looked like they were really pushing for back-to-back, but that 9-game winless run in the league finally brought to an end last week against South Melbourne. Now looking to build off of that and stamp their place in finals. And Neil, at the end of the day, if you don't have a ticket you can't win the raffle. And as we saw last season with Dandy City, anything's possible come finals time. And this Heidelberg team, led by John Anastasiadis, would still back themselves nonetheless in those one-off fixtures. So a free kick here for them. Marcus Humbert standing over it. Curls it in. Back across the face of goal. Dow's there! And it's rocketed off the crossbar from close range. And O'Sullivan flashes it over the crossbar. And Heidelberg inches away from doubling their lead. They got their tails up here at the moment. And Bentleigh, they have some defending to do right now, because this Heidelberg team, they are playing with plenty of momentum since putting themselves in front through Kieran Bramwell.
Wow. Goalmouth action here at the Village, and we wouldn't expect anything less, really. I've just seen that goal that Caroline Springs George Cross scored against South Melbourne. The horror error from Thomas Yanakopoulos. Burgers could be on the march here again. Here's Kas Mordekoulis. Lesiotis. Now left lane. Barney. Yaron Souza. He sees the run of Bentleigh Barney. He executes to full acclaim. Here's Bisetto. Isolated with Kalu Kamara. And that ball definitely went out of play. So it will be Bentleigh goal kick. Kamara. Gone by Bentleigh. Robertson looked to weave his way out of harm's way. But it was a bit of a brief shirt pull from Ryan Lethlean. Dow forced to play it back, but did brilliantly well to get away from Petrados, but won back by the Greens. And they'll take their time in possession. They're in no real rush to get themselves back in this contest. I think they have a subconscious understanding that their fate might have been sealed.
Yeah, it'll be tough for them right now. So a lot of attacking early doors. They had some opportunities, but to conceding that first, considering they need a win and win big today.
Good match.
So right now, that Heidelberg really have their tails up. Bentleigh, they've turned it over again. Mudakudis, strong start in the middle of the park today. O'Sullivan looking to get forward from fullback, feeds it through to Dow. In a crossing position here. First time ball into Bramwell. Kamara got in there. Here's Marcus Humberts. 2-0 to Heidelberg. And the Burgers take another big step towards finals football in 2026.
I think they might just do it. That might just give them that extra edge. The amount of decline for the Greens at this point in time. And you see what it means for Yaron Souza, as he did 2 weeks ago. He's come all the way from his goalkeeper box to celebrate with his teammates. It's all too integral for the Burgers in their fight to retain that championship from last season. It goes a long way in that respect. And who it is, Marcus Humbert, his 5th of the season as well.
Well, courtesy of these 2 goals, Neil, that have Heidelberg in front, they are now into 5th on the ladder. Preston still locked 0-0 with Altona. So as of right now, it'll be South Melbourne versus Heidelberg in the elimination final next week at Lakeside, and Avondale versus Preston in the other elimination final.
Wow. There's still permutations, and I think those 3 spots are interchangeable at the moment. Of course, South Melbourne also down 1-0 to George Cross. They need to get themselves a point to secure that home final, which is all too important on the balance, and the Burgers could be on the trail again. Here's Kyle O'Sullivan. Mordakudis. Switches out left to Bentleigh Barney. Really good start for the Greens, but sort of fallen by the wayside there, so just that little bit. Bramwell gets it through towards Max Bisetto. Liminal space to operate within for the Burgers. And Baldea brings it back to the Kiwi and Andrew Withers. The Burgers winding themselves out, pressing with all that intent. Nicolaides upended by Chock Dow. Mordakudis. Siotis. Left lean. O'Barney. Now Collins. O'Sullivan. Here comes Ben Collins. Infield is Kalu Kamara. He's back to goal. He does find the advent of Matthews. Here's Petrados. The ball slightly too wide for the New South Welshman. And he's able to concede a throw for his side.
25 minutes played here. Goals from Kieran Bramwell and Marcus Humbert. The difference so far here at Olympic Village. Heidelberg right now into 5th, set to lock in a place inside the finals. Now jumped Preston on the ladder. We'll be keeping an eye on what happens over at BT Connor, because not riding on it right now, more so for finals permutations than for the relegation battle, given where Bentleigh are at right now. Mudakudis having to chase this one down. It's all with the home side right now. O'Sullivan drops the shoulder. Bit too much on that touch, and out there for a goal kick.
I think the key match will be the Altona-Preston game.
Yep.
That's the one that's going to really be intriguing in terms of home finals and positioning for those fourth to sixth spots. They're only locked at 0-0, so anything can happen.
Well, of course, at City Vista, the Georgies in the lead. And they've handled business at their end to try and get inside the top 6, but Bentleigh haven't quite played ball for them in the manner that they would be hoping for. Nicolaides. And in the air there by Collins. O'Sullivan loops it over the top. Foot race here between Dow and Hillier. Hillier got a foot in. Withers sends that one straight up into the air. Bounces over the head of both Humbert and Mells. Mudakudis. Well, really living in Heidelberg's attacking third since they got themselves in front. Bentleigh had that little bit of a run early doors, but since then the home side have put the foot down. Just looking at the bench today for Heidelberg, a lot of talent waiting in the wings, but one name that really stands out, Neil, is the return of Fletcher Fulton. What a player to get back right on the eve of finals.
Yeah, the reigning Mike Cockrell medalist, a player that came to this club as a winger from Moreland City, of course, the Tasmanian. It is such a luxury to have someone like Fletcher Fulton to bring off the bench, really, and provide so much pace and energy down the channels. And that's good goal scoring with him, as well as Ross Matthews has been upended in quite an intriguing set-piece position for the Bentleigh Greens. Yeah, he sticks out like a sore thumb in terms of the players and that are available for Heidelberg United. Of course, can't forget the likes of Asahi Yokokawa and Jay McGowan, who have been two regimented players who have started a lot of the last few games. And McGowan, who did good on the score sheet 2 weeks ago. Didn't have the greatest game against South Melbourne last week, but intrigued to see what they can offer off the bench. Here's Mells with the swinging delivery. Just onto the head of Ryan Leflin.
Well, do you think with someone even like Fulton coming back, Neil, just getting him back, even if it's for about half an hour, a nervous ball there, but Sosa did well to get off his line, but they'd be hoping to get a few minutes into Fulton just to get a little bit of run in the legs going into finals, and what a player to have waiting in the wings, and a very interesting selection dilemma going into finals. Of course, Heidelberg still need to handle business today. Between him and Tabena Rabani, Fulton might be preferred to be playing further up the pitch now, with Rabani slotting in at left back. Bramwell, Humbert, well worked between the goal scorers, and here's Dow. Isolated here against Nicolaides. Cross takes a deflection. Wells sweeps that one up and puts it out for a throw-in. Well, as you mentioned, a lot of players waiting in the wings that can still really be hoping to put their best foot forward for a starting spot if they can lock in a final spot. Guys like, as mentioned, Claire Harris with that really big goal last week. Asahi Yokokawa, Jay McGowan. A lot of attacking players waiting in the wings. No Nico Duarte today, and no Anthony Theo, no Kane Razmovsky. So few players missing today as well for Heidelberg, so getting all those players back, getting full complement available for finals is going to be a really intriguing watch.
Yeah,
the next week.
Yeah, and no Joseph Lee either. I think that's an interesting one to know. Maybe it's just a case of rest. Of course, they've had cup and league duty. There's a goalmouth scramble at Preston, so we'll keep a firm eye on what might happen there. Oh, Kamara's been upended here by Kieran Brunwell, but number 68 is able to compose himself. Last touch came off a Heidelberg player, so will be their throw. Doverson. With a shirt pull. Left lean. To Souza. Here's Ben Collins. Unable to find a distinct angle on those left and right channels. Eventually the route to Carla Sullivan is decided. Here's Tasman Budakutis. Deep line number 6 roll. Here's Dow. Lesiotis. Bit of a 12. He looks out wide for Tabena Obani. Cross comes in, and it's Bramwell. Can he get a shooting chance? He can on the swivel. And that'll be a goal kick for the Greens.
So Bentleigh, as of right now, joining both Green Gully and Dandenong Thunder in VPL 1 next season. The teams that do replace them will find out another tomorrow afternoon. More football, more simultaneous kickoffs with final day in both the VPL 1 and the VPL Women's season as well. Melbourne Knights, of course, in VPL 1, already title winners and going back up to NPL Victoria next season. As Petrados looking for the run there for Carrillo. Matthews back to Petrados. Into the mixer, nodded away there by left lean, and Bramwell headed there by Baldeir, and Yanni Zizas pays the free kick in Heidelberg's favour. So, I mentioned Melbourne Knights back in the top tier next season. One of Brunswick, Juventus or Northcote will join them tomorrow, but we won't find out the team that joins them as the third team until mid-September. In fact, NPL Victoria Men's Grand Final Day with both the VPL 1 and VPL 2 promotion playoffs. Plenty more football happening right across the state, Neil. Not just with the final series in NPL Victoria, but with the playoffs as well.
Yeah,
it's up the pyramid.
Sorry to interrupt. It's the best time of the year, Nick. With of course Australia Cup action, we're heading into the semi-finals in a few weeks, and of course Senol NPLM Men's Victoria Grand Final Day with the VPL playoffs too. There's a lot of good teams in and amongst those playoffs, and VPL 2 as well. Of course, we know the two teams that are coming up in Malvern and Goulburn Valley Suns, but definitely a lot to keep your eye on. Those games are also happening at the moment, the final day in VPL 2. So the title will be decided as well. We'll see as to how that might take shape, with Malvern taking on Werribee City and Goulburn Valley taking on Box Hill. And with plenty of teams in and amongst the promotion ranks, including Essendon Royals, Bayside Argonauts and Box Hill. So plenty to play for in the third tier.
Dow whips it in. Able to see that one behind, but in fact it's come off Bentleigh player last, and it's going to be a corner kick. So just over 10 minutes remaining of regulation this first half. Bramwell and Humbert with the goals for the Burgers. Dow on set piece duties. One of left lane or Collins, but he's not able to get on the end of it. O'Sullivan collides on that far side with Matthews. Back to Lesiotis. Comfortable on the ball with the Burgers right now. Dow back in board to Humbert. The run there again of Dow. Spot wings here with Basetto. Humbert into the area, nodded away by Kamara. Doverson. Obani takes a slip, and Doverson looking to kickstart the counter-attack. Humbert riding him all the way through towards halfway, and Lesiotis was there to mop up. And every time it feels like Bentleigh looked to break, there are just yellow jerseys everywhere, not allowing any of their attacks to really get kick-started. It's been a very well regimented start to this game, Neil, from Heidelberg. They 2 goals to the good and just not giving Bentleigh even an inch right now.
They've suffocated them in the midfield especially, and I think that's where the game has been won. At this point in time, I think we're seeing Anthony Lesiotis and Marcus Humbert reach their best, or return to their best, as nervy back pass from Kalalu Kamara. So Bramwell just showing all that pressing intent on the balance. It's been a decent return for him this season, 7 goals in this season, in the regular campaign. Subject to this impending late first half and second half performance. Of course, those 27 appearances at the Perth Glory do come to mind. They need a striker at the moment, as we know, with Adam Taggart departing. So you could do worse. And then look at one of your Youth Academy products, Kieran Bramwell. There's Kalalu Kamara. All day up. Looks towards Doverson. Pushes across in, but it's right into the arms of Yaron Souza. Lesiotis. Ball giveaway. Matthews. Petrados. Matthews off the board at the top. Doverson is free. Doverson is also offside. But it was a beautifully weighted ball. John Anastasiadis calling for simplicity in their build-up.
Perhaps just a little bit of calm. Don't even open the door for Bentleigh. 2 weeks ago against Hume would be still bringing in the mind of the Heidelberg players about the dangers of a 2-goal lead. Left lane. Forced to go all the way back to Yaron Souza. So still as of right now, it'll be Heidelberg against South Melbourne in the elimination final next week, and Avondale against Preston. Winners of those games will face Oakley and Hume, who have wrapped up top 2 spots. Humbert streaming forward down the right, looks to feed it through, but Nicolaides did well. Sullivan crashes in. Back in board there to Bassetto. Here's Bassetto, he can have a go. Shots deflected and bounces through there to Andrew Withers. It's really a blockbuster final series right around the corner. Of course, we won't really know exactly how the bracket all falls because, of course, third will play the highest ranked elimination final winner, and first in Oakley will play the lowest ranked winner. So see how it all falls over the next coming weeks, and of course the grand final after that. Heidelberg will love nothing more, Neil, to really defy the odds after the last few weeks, given their current form before that game against South Melbourne. They didn't win for 9 straight games, and find form at the right time, and perhaps find themselves there on the big dance once more in September.
I would definitely not put it past them. They are a team that thrives on moments, as we have seen in the last calendar year. And we've seen stranger things as well. We've seen teams come from 6th position and 5th position to get into the upper echelon games. Of course, Dandenong City, let's not forget, made the final coming from 6th position last year. So stranger things have happened across the NPL Victoria. He's chopped out. Isolated with Nicolaides. Old square, Humbert receives the reverse pass. But Nicolaides was there. Get that away. We'll see the corner now.
Just the fact they've climbed the mountain once before as well. These players know what it takes in finals football. I think that would give them a lot of confidence, even if they have to go the long way this time, Neil, and perhaps have to, go and play that extra game compared to last year, not having home field advantage. I mean, it's they've still been there and done that in those one-off games, so it would give them confidence going into finals.
Absolutely so. Humbert towards the back post. Withers has to come to punch. Collins across toward the back post yet again. This time on the right-hand side of the pitch. Depends on which angle you're looking from. Here's Lesiotis. Dow. Also Western Australian. In a stint at Preston prior to moving across to the Burgers. Usually playing off the bench. Here's O'Sullivan. Had the shooting angle. Watercooters. Bissetto. Twisting, twirling, shooting. Kalalu Kamara. able to intercept. He's trying all tricks and maneuvers to get himself out of harm's way. But nothing that Burgers won't be able to do to counteract their press.
So, just looking around the grounds, Dandy City leading against the Premiers Oakley. Of course, Oakley not too much to play for. Dandy City as well, playing for pride at this stage of the year. There's nothing more, for they would love nothing more than to get a big scalp to go into the off-season and what lays ahead for them in 2027. Still 0-0 over at BT Connor. Still South Melbourne behind against George Cross, 1-0. Heidelberg here. 2 goals to the good against the Greens. Baldea, Mells, Jeeba. They work their way through the Heidelberg press, but done well Heidelberg to lock it in their attacking half and not really give Bentleigh any opportunity to get forward. Here's Dow. A few step overs and a lull here at the moment as Heidelberg just sitting on the ball closer towards half time. It's been a professional performance early doors. Right now Bentleigh just over 45 minutes if things stay the same. With relegation back to VPL 1. Left lean. Bassetto. Humbert back to Bassetto. Bassetto does well to keep it alive, but it's come off the outside of the foot and out for a goal kick. It's the Bentleigh nil. I mean, remember only a few years ago a powerhouse of Victorian football under the Heidelberg boss John Anastasiadis, then after that under Nick Tolios, 2019 champions, finalists. You think back to 2022 as well, but really from there it's been a tough road back to NPL Victoria. Their relegation in 2023 and 2 years in the second tier before returning this year. And I think we were probably all expecting that maybe they would be one of the teams to be where George Cross are, particularly after the way they started this season the first few weeks.
I think their squad composition, if you look on paper, and the players they brought in, of course you look at Maki Petrados, especially Kalalu Kamara, stalwart of that Avondale double winning team. And I just don't think that they were able to bring enough requisite options within the middle of the park especially. Baldea is one of the very few that actually has remained. Dennis Menelau as a number 9 striking option. I'm not sure if that's distinctly what they needed. And also Anthony Frangi, who popped up with goals for Altona Magic last season, but wasn't a consistent starter for the Magic. So I just think George Katsaka's got it wrong, which can happen in this league. The Greens have got a lot of soul searching to do, but they're in a better position now, I would say, than they were 2 years ago, with plenty of coaching speculation. Of course, they brought in David Chick. Then he went, of course, to Hume City. That seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah. But, yeah, still plenty to play for the Greens, both only today and also on the balance of their campaign for season 2027 in VPL 1. As Barney will look to shoot. Just rises over the bar.
Well, it is an interesting 1-0. I mean, Piddick, of course, you'd expect, at least, if he can stay the same now, he'll be there next season to try and get them straight back up to NPL Victoria next season. A very well-accomplished coach with what he was able to do with both Port Melbourne and Dandenong Thunder and get the best out of those groups. I just wonder if they perhaps made that move maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe things could have changed, but nonetheless, that's all history now. Mells, Matthews. They're out to Nicolaides and a heavy touch, and it's out there for a throw in. And well, that really sums it up for Bentleigh. It's been a difficult old year. I think when they started this season, they were getting wins off the back of a really strong defensive unit. They were able to shut games down and get results. But after about 7 or 8 games, and after that, they were leaking goals like a sieve.
It was that Melbourne City game which completely changed the trajectory of their season. Losing to a Melbourne City team, granted Medin Mehmeti was available, and he's of course a very, very talented product in terms of Australian footballing circles, let alone shouldn't even be stepping on the pitch in the Senol NPL Men's Victoria, with all due respect. So it's a tough one for them, 1 minute at a time. So focus back on Petratos, who looks to shoot. Touch last came off a Heidelberg player. It will be a corner.
What about you? I heard a little nip. I don't know if that was just what was it, deflection? But
I did think he hit an arm. I just don't know if that was enough to render a penalty. Of course, Yannis is one of the best. I
think at the moment Bentleigh are just going to protest everything. I think right now, given what's on the line.
So Mells will take what is I believe the first corner for the Greens this afternoon. Can he spark some life into this Greens team? Kamara was held, but the Greens will get themselves another corner. Likely you would expect the final act of this first half. Half-time at Decker Park, where George Cross see themselves 1-0 up against South Melbourne. And Mells with the in-swinging delivery on his preferred right. Held really well, Kukurio! After what was a decent start from the Greens, the Burgers came back swiftly through goals from Kieran Branwell, if you knew much about it, and Marcus Humbert. As it currently states, they've arrested the decline, Heidelberg United, and it might just be enough for them to secure finals spots. Nick, your thoughts on that first half?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Bentleigh started really strongly. They came out with a lot of intent. They were putting Heidelberg under the pump, but weren't able to really convert it into too much. And just in that one moment there, once Kieran Bramwell scored, it was all Heidelberg. It was a little bit of invention just to flick that ball past Andrew Withers, how much he knew about it. I mean, he'll say it was definitely, he was meant to do it, but nonetheless, a goal's a goal. It got them off the mark, and then Marcus Humbert smashing home to make it 2-0. And right now, Heidelberg looking the goods to seal the 3 points here and wrap up a final spot. So, still, of course, plenty to play for. A lot of crazy things can happen here in NPL Victoria. So, we'll be back in around 15 minutes' time for the second half here at Olympic Village. The score here is Heidelberg 2, Bentleigh Greens 0. It's like a big holiday. Yeah. So it's the top 3 tiers are all the same structure. It's like 3 up, 3 down, and 3 to 6 in each of those leagues play out the team. So there'll be chance. Yeah. So they'll play. So like they lost Heidelberg, with this 9 straight games. They won last week. So I think, they start really strong. It sounds like that. No one's really consistent in that period of time. Like, all teams were like a lot of draws, and like just not making the most of those chances. No, it was like, I think, 4 or 5 draws, which was bad. And they got draws against teams that were sort of like, so like they didn't really set up Portugal super well against the major. So when they had a good chance, like to make it up. It's the best. It's the absolute best. Yeah. It's such a great thing.
Russ is great. Yeah, he's so good. Good player. Good guy. Hey, yeah. Hey, all going well? You guys get up? It's a tough one. I really like those. We need it. We do. I definitely agree. What's up?
Welcome back to Olympic Village. Heidelberg leading 2 goals to the good here against Bentleigh Greens. It's the second half here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon to get underway. Kieran Bramwell and Marcus Humbert, the goal scorers that have Heidelberg right now finals bound. At the moment, see there's a lot of permutations, a lot of snakes and ladders from all the games running simultaneously at the moment. And right now Heidelberg back into 6th with Preston opening the scoring against Altona. A result that Bentleigh needed coming into this game, but Bentleigh, well, because of their vastly inferior goal difference, they find themselves with a massive mountain to climb this second half if they want to even give themselves a chance at closing in on Altona. Nick Tabano and Neil Simons here to take you through the second half. Neil, Heidelberg right now with their noses in front, finals bound, 45 minutes away from making it 3 straight appearances in the finals and looking to keep their championship defence alive for at least another week.
Yeah, and I think it's an important one as well in terms of how they finish. To be set the tone ahead of next week, all going well, barring miraculous changes in circumstances here at the Village, which we've actually seen in recent weeks. So certainly a lot to play for the Burgers as they look to close out their 2026 regular season campaign.
Underway here. Heidelberg looking to close this one out and ensure that they will be in action again next week. Right now, they are playing Avondale in the elimination final, 3v6, 4v5. The winners of those games playing either Oakley or Hume, who reside inside the top 2. No changes from either coach at the break. A strong challenge right in front of the Heidelberg technical area from Nicolaides. Goal scorer Bramwell, and that will be a yellow card. Neil, we were talking at half-time back here in Bramwell's goal, and looking back on it, a stunning bit of invention to open the scoring there for Heidelberg.
Upon first inspection.
Well, there's a second yellow card, I think, for Teo Nicolaides.
That is remarkable. So that is news is, goes to Dion Nicolaides, pulled up a second yellow card. And indeed, yes, a second yellow, a red card for the Greens. They're down to 10 men.
So
It's one of the most nonchalant red cards I've ever seen given.
absolutely. Well, Bentleigh 2 goals down and now down a man. So Dion Nicolaides against his former team, Neil, sent off.
Just as if the season can't go from bad to worse, it's probably one of the ways in which it can. Dion Nicolaides against his former side, sent off in pretty undramatic circumstances, a second yellow card. That is not what Adam Pittick would want to see, and nor the way that he would like to end his season as Bentleigh Green's head coach.
Well, right now the Burgers 2-0 up, a man advantage, and that is a horror start to this second half here for Bentleigh. They already had a massive mountain to climb, and now it's made all the more difficult. And well, if you're from a Georgie's persuasion, Neil, particularly, we're hoping for that sort of second half fight back from Bentleigh. It looks like it's not going to be happening unless something miraculous does happen in this second half. Heidelberg would love nothing more than to close this one out and put a bit of extra distance between them and their opponents in the final 45 minutes.
Yeah, just not the way in which you would like to start your second half, especially 2 minutes in. But the Burgers, this is an opportunity for them to get some more minutes in the legs and really test themselves under much defensive duress as Bramwell could be in behind you. Tug of the shirt from Scott Hillier. He was onside. Didn't look at such, but really good work from Kieran Bramwell to bypass Scott Hillier. Did really well there as Petrados keeps it in play. In fact, he doesn't. He'll be out of Burger throw. Here is Carlo Sullivan. Looks down the line. Petratos. Mells to Matthews, of course. You know his experience, especially in Scotland with Ross County, over 250 appearances, playing in the Scottish Cup against the likes of Celtic in recent years, taking up a coaching role at the Greens, and of course scored the hat-trick last week. They could use one of those this afternoon to at least end their season on a good note. Jibba.
Ludicrous. Mells. Forward. In the air there by Mario Boldea. Jiva. He's able to pump here from Bassano. Cardos. He's under his spell. Likes the challenge there of O'Sullivan. Fans in full voice this afternoon. Snow Finals football, it's been a difficult few months for them. Difficult few weeks leading into that result against South Melbourne, Neil, which would have felt like the weight of the world off their shoulders. A loss in the Doherty Cup final against Preston, a game which they led. A few days later, getting knocked out in the Australia Cup by North Sunshine Eagles in the round of 16 on penalties, and then that 5-4 loss here at this venue against Hume. Just to be able to see 3 points on the board again. It's massive for their confidence going into this week and whatever lies ahead.
Yeah, I think we know what Heidelberg are at their best. Of course, personnel from last year has changed significantly. Of course, no Buljuach, no Jamal Ali, Mo Idara as well, who's actually still contracted to the Bentleigh Greens. To my understanding, of course, he's been injured for the majority of the campaign. But let's not say that with the players that they've got back, the likes of Carlos Sullivan, Fletcher Fulton, having Tas Mordekoudis and Christian Theoharis, who you can utilise across both midfield, defence and attack, it's a lot for them, and I think they will prove a tricky customer, especially next week, against an Avondale team which, if you believe the speculation, are going to go under a coaching change after the season. So if there's any team you want to face in week 1 of the finals, it's probably going to be Avondale. So we'll see as to how things might play out for them. If they can hold on this afternoon, it looks like they might well do.
Well, right now as well, they are playing them because of Preston as well being in the lead against Altona over at BT Connor Reserve. Caroline Springs George Cross still lead against South Melbourne. It's actually looking at that live ladder as of right now as well about where that match will be. Right now, that's going to be at BT Connor Reserve, that Preston-South Melbourne match, because Preston are currently in 4th and set to be the home team next weekend. Basetto looking for the run there of Bramwell, and a bit too much on that one there for the Heidelberg goal scorer. A nice moment for Kieran Bramwell, Neil, to get his 7th goal of the season. He had a great chance just before that, but did well with that beautiful flick past Andrew Withers. To apologise and give him the credit that he probably deserved when he did score it, because in the moment it seemed like it came off his trailing leg, but he actually did that right on purpose, and it was a great finish in the end there by Bramwell.
He's a player that, when he's on form, there's no one really like him across the campaign, across the competition, sorry. Didn't have the greatest of seasons at Melbourne Knights last year, but this Avondale team, Heidelberg team, should I say. Something for him to ponder. We see Max Basetto. He bypasses Jibba. Basetto, a couple of step overs and shoots, and it just rises over the bar, but took a deflection. So it will be a corner for Heidelberg United, and the first time in which we've really seen Max Basetto the space ahead of him. He's also had his injury troubles this season.
The last remaining member of that front 3 last season that got Heidelberg all the way through to the championship with Buljuach and Sabit North since the parting. And yeah, he came into the season with a big injury cloud. He slowly worked his way back into the team, and he's a player that when he's at his best, Neil, as we saw in grand final day last year, he's absolutely electric.
Take it short. It's to Benarabani! Oh, just wide of the goal. They're getting closer. Heidelberg to their 3rd of the afternoon. It's been a lively customer, has the Benarabani been this afternoon.
A really bright performance from Abani. Some competition now with Fulton returning. It'll be interesting to see what time in this game that John Anastasiadis may turn to Fletcher Fulton, just to get some minutes in the legs going into finals. Free kick awarded there to Lesiotis. Still on the bench as well for Heidelberg. Mentioned a little bit earlier, Sahi Opokawa, Christian Theoharis and Jay McGowan. Nicholas Zimos, Ashton Bonsall as well among Heidelberg today. The offside flag is up against the Burgers. Meanwhile, Patrick Hogan, Samuel Grella, Luca Resti, Kazuto Davies, Yanni Balatzis and Jack McKern on the bench. A very young Bentleigh Greens bench today. Luca Resti, already a player with extensive senior experience, formerly of Melbourne City and Preston, but I've seen at different times. Samuel Grella and co get their minutes throughout the campaign. A lot of names cycle through this Bentleigh team throughout this season. They made a whole number of signings in the mid-season window. Jiva, give it a pump there from Basetto. This is on again here from Heidelberg. Kamara. There's a ball pass there from the former Avondale centre-half.
Sam Grella was very pivotal in that win against Melbourne City last week. Had a really starring role in that game. And obviously an enormous factor as to why they were able to get so many goals in quick succession. So I'm very intrigued to see what he can offer potentially, despite the man advantage.
His ball cleared away by Hillier. Straight back for Lesiotis at the centre on that far side. Collins. Sullivan in some space here on that right-hand side. Balde shifted in at left back since the Nicolaides red card. Trados. Back to Baldea and out for a throw-in. So close to an hour played here. Bramwell and Humbert's goals still the difference. No change around the grounds in both the matches between Preston and South Melbourne. Set to be opponents Heidelberg. Avondale do lead against Hume City, which doesn't change anything in the ladder with both Hume and Avondale locked into second and third respectively. Lesiotis. Sullivan again. Kudus. Back to Carlo Sullivan. Collins. Lesiotis. Barney. By Matthews getting back. So guys trying to play out, and again, yellow jerseys everywhere at the moment. Bramwell goes to ground. That's going to be a free kick to Heidelberg.
We talked about their midfield being suffocated with 11 players in the park. The advent of Nicolaides coming off with the red card has ensured essentially that Petrados has to play as a left wing back in some ways. He's dropping very deep to receive. Just see it's the way that Kudus and Humbert are cutting off those passing angles for Bentleigh Greens. And Marcus Humbert, you could say none the wiser, could either shoot or lay it off potentially in this instance. Marcus Humbert will go himself. Take a deflection off the wall. Dow will recycle. Oh, got himself in a very good position towards the byline was Bisetto. This touch most definitely came off the back to Bisetto, so the Greens now with an opportunity to punch it forward. Double change for Heidelberg. Carlo Sullivan coming off. So to Chock Dow, oncoming Christian Theoharis and Fletcher Fulton. So Theoharis sees minutes off the bench after his wonder strike in stoppage time last week. Fletcher Fulton returns from injury. Long injury layoff, as I said. Sorry, Nick?
No, all good. Just going to say, great to see Fletcher Fulton back after his lengthy absence through injury. Play just to add to this Heidelberg team just in time for finals. You mentioned, Neil, last year, the Mike Cockrell medalist in the Australia Cup. Back when he was at Moreland City as well, Neil, was when they were in the top flight, one of the real bright sparks for them too. A real talented player, even when he's playing a bit more further up. I know that in recent time we've become accustomed to him as a fullback, but he can certainly do damage in the final third. Theoharis looking to pick up where he left off last week. Straight at Andrew Withers. And even for Christian Theoharis, Neil, finding the back of the net last week, a player who we know has just so much ability. And he showed it last week. It's been a bit of a slower start for him, but he got that goal, and that would just do him the well of good coming into this stage of the season.
Absolutely, and I think this afternoon was also a big moment for Theo Harris and his family. Of course, his father, Andrew, played in the NSL and also for the Bentleigh Greens, and he's got significant familial ties to that football club, having played there through his youth career from 06 to 2012. So it's a bit of a sweet moment for him. Of course, he would have played against the Greens whilst in the NPL playing for victory, whilst they were in the top tier from 2015 to 2017. But nonetheless, for a player that hasn't received too many starts for Heidelberg, now is your time to shine ahead of finals and to really bed yourself in that 11. Although it's very difficult on the balance of play to suggest that Max Basetto or any of those players should be dropped. And the commentators curse as he literally just sends out a play for a throw for Bentleigh. Player is down for Heidelberg as well. It is Kieran Bramwell.
So called on here to tend to Bramwell. Of the game, Neil. Fingers crossed Bramwell's all good. Still have McGowan, Yokokawa and Zimos waiting in the wings in case Bramwell can't continue. These Heidelberg fans, they can dream for a little bit longer. What was looking like a season that was petering out. They were out of the top 6 after that loss against Hume, and George Cross beating Avondale on the same night, and possibility of missing finals were very, very real. Then, of course, last week, that crazy game between George Cross and Hume got them back right in the mix. They handled business against South Melbourne in a game that they really had to get something from, and it put them in pole position today where they didn't have to worry about other results or anything else, and they've done what they needed to do so far. They're 2 goals to the good, and right now just over 25 minutes away from returning to September action again.
Yeah, I have to say, the way in which you take your final few games of the season is very important to set the tone for your finals campaign. And going in with 2 wins against 2 good footballing outfits, South Melbourne especially, they deserve a lot of credit for that. And especially in which they've taken the game today. They look extremely professional, very, very composed in the way that they've taken this game in its stride. And with Jay McGowan coming on now, it also gives them an opportunity to sort of tinker with their system a little bit. It looks as if Marcus Humbert has been playing with a false 9. They've got an out-and-out number 9 available on the park, so I'll be very intrigued to see as to how they might look in possession in the next 25 minutes or so of regulation time.
So, sent Jay McGowan on for Kieran Bramwell. Fingers crossed he's all good. Just looking at him through the bench there, and he's moving quite well, so perhaps no risks being taken there by Heidelberg. It'll be a change here for Bentleigh, their first of the game. Yuto Carrillo coming off here.
I believe that is Patrick Hogan. He's switched between number 11 and number 17 in recent weeks.
Okay.
I'm led to believe that is Patrick Hogan, the former Avondale and Melbourne City winger. Of course, featured on the bench once in the Suzy A-League men, or formerly Suzy A-League men.
Apologies for the confusion, but on seen on dribbles, still haven't been updated in the system, so at least the referees might be across it. I think that's one thing. Carrillo, who scored a great goal against St Albans a couple of weeks ago, unable to add to his goal tally this afternoon. Looking at Patrick Hogan to maybe get it in amongst it in the final 25 minutes. Theoharis getting past Baldea, great strength there from Christian Theoharis. It turns on a dime really well. They're going to cut it back, and it's cleared away and out for a throw-in.
Yeah, intriguing about, of course, Patrick Hogan. His brother Lucas is starting for Green Gully against Melbourne City this afternoon as well. Of course, he was also involved with the youth setup at Avondale in the 23s, primarily captain the 23s. So just some more talented footballing brothers. There's plenty of them in the NPL system, but just an interesting thing to know. Here is Andrew Withers. Kamara. Miscommunication with Mells. And Lesiotis will lay it off to Jay McGowan. It's slightly a heavy touch. Really good tackle from Ross Matthews. And now Mells will send it to Patrick Hogan. Former teammates at Avondale as well. Albeit for half a season in 2024. And Hillier will send it long. Left lane, Lesiotis. Here's Jay McGowan.
So looking like a disappointing end to Bentleigh's 2026 season. It's a miraculous turnaround these last few minutes. Relegation back to BPL 1. A little bit of certainty now. Doverson skips past Collins. Good drop of the shoulder. Here's Petrados. The run there of Boldea. Going to cut inside again. Petrados, and he just decides to have a ping in the end. And, well, Souza made a meal of it, and it's out for a corner. So it just bounced in an awkward position there for Yaron Souza, and was unable to make the save. In fact, it just bounced inside the box, and Souza stuck his hands out, and it's gone out for a corner.
That's what he does. Petrados can nothing into something or create some miraculous chance, and the Greens might have a chance to curl their way back into this one.
So corner here for Bentleigh. Around one in this second half. Kamara flying for it, cleared away by Collins. Matthews, Jeeber under the pump there from Humbert, all the way back to Withers. Jeeber goes down by Basetto, presses on again here from Heidelberg, and Withers clears it away first time. That's good use of the body, all the way back there to his teammate in Souza.
Well, don't they have a massive task ahead of them, Heidelberg United, next week? Barring miraculous change of circumstances, they'll be facing off against Avondale next week at Avenger Park. You'd think probably this time kickoff as well, as McGowan could be in behind. He is offside nonetheless. And that will be a very enticing clash to witness. Of course, we've seen this Heidelberg-Avondale conundrum over the last 12 months, especially in the second last round of last season in round 25. Stefan Valentini with the go-ahead goal to win Avondale the premiership, which I think is a fact that many forget, that Avondale actually won the league last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Avondale obviously went on to lose against Dandy City in the semi-finals, which is a stunning upset. But they, of course, won that classic at the end of last year. One of the best games I think we have seen in the NPL Victoria era. And the opportunity for those two teams to add another chapter in another big game in the finals. I mean, that was what we all thought was going to be the great. I mean, we'd see that again come grand final day. Heidelberg handled business against Preston in one semi-final, and we all thought that Avondale would do the same. But Dandy City, they upset the apple cart, and credit to them for what they were able to do. But see those two teams lock horns again, and it's been a lot has changed in the last 12 months since those two teams have met on that famous day. Change of coaches, a lot of change in personnel as well. Basetto. McLean. Harris calling for it on this near side. And he's still in a load of space here if they can find him. He's just waiting in an acre of space in front of the Heidelberg technical area. And here he is on the ball. Provided a little bit of pressure there from Petrados. And Kudus, Fulton, well worked. Thea Harris just going to get on the end of it. Fulton's pass was a little bit short. Petrados. Chance for Bentleigh now back the other way. Lesiotis getting back. And a good challenge from Anthony Lesiotis. Very well timed. To deny Marky Petrados. A little bit of an opening there for Bentleigh. Haven't had too many in the second half. Well, that's... Maki Petrados, it's felt at times, Neil, he's been a bit of a lone hand up front. 14 goals, you mentioned earlier, out of their 27 have come from him alone in the league this season.
It's just how one player can produce so much quality in the final third and not have much support, if at any, is so bemusing and peculiar. And I just think as if they were able to bring in just one tricky winger, one more dangerous player. I think the game that really killed them was the Dandenong Thunder loss. Adam Pittick's first game in charge. That was the game they had to win. Thunder were extremely weak in terms of personnel, and that's the player they really needed to kickstart their campaign under Adam Pittick, and this game could have taken a very different complexion today.
Between that one and you'd think as well, leading against St Albans, they found themselves in a really good position. But those two games, Neil, I mean, when it's all set and done, there are a lot of drop points along the way, but those ones, you mentioned, they will particularly sting when they do their season review back on the 2026 campaign.
Here's Jane McGowan. In a bit of space, cutting onto his left. Dobberson. With a Curtis. Out wide to Thea Harris. And that's a massive shoulder challenge from Kalalu Kamara. The two former Western United teammates, Thea Harris and Bisetto, combining, and that is most definitely going to be a free kick.
Yeah, kind of with a bit of a shoulder charge there. Kalalu Kamara right through the back of Bisetto.
Look at Thea Harris fashion from this position. Taking a goal at the Village for the first time in his Heidelberg career. Harris on his left foot, rolled square. It's Lesiotis on his non-preferred left, if you don't mind, just as wide of the goal.
Beautiful afternoon here in Melbourne. Let's bring an end to what has been another thoroughly entertaining Senol NPL Victoria men's season. Spring right around the corner. When you think back to the start of the season for Heidelberg, that 2-1 win against Green Gully here at this venue, when they left it late. There was a bit of late controversy, and now finishing their home and away season here against Bentleigh. They've had to handle business to wrap up a place inside the top 6. Kamara, Withers, clearing it away. Cool and calm at the moment. Heidelberg as they look to build up. Jeeva winning it back. McGowan, Abani, cuts it centrally. Here's Tasma Kudus. Short to Thea Harris. To fashion a cross, but it's deflected through to Andrew Withers. A lot of experience still in this Bentleigh team, Neil. I mean, if they can keep the majority of this squad, you'd think that with the calibre of players that they have, that they would put themselves in with a real chance. And we know Bentleigh as well would be able to attract some top calibre players to try and get themselves right back in the mix to ensure that it is a 1 year stay back in VPL 1 and they return to the top flight. And this time around, they'd be hoping to make it a more prolonged stay. But of course, getting out of VPL 1, as we know, Neil, it is very, very difficult. Some teams that, as we've seen, like with the likes of Northcote City and Bulleen, who are still in the mix of promotion, sometimes it can be very, very hard to get back out on the first time, even the second or third time of asking. As Thea Harris looking to win it back, and no free kick given there to Kamara. But just back to that point, Neil, I mean, It is a very tough league to get out of, but Bentleigh, if they can keep the majority of this score, you'd think they'd be putting themselves in with a really good chance of ensuring that they're in the mix next.
I think when they went down the first time, they were able to sign a player like Scott Hillier, and so retain him, sorry. And I think that is what you need. You need stewardship players. And Aidan Von Essen was one of those as well. He's, of course, coming back from injury now. You need players that have played in the top tier to drop down that level, to give you that extra spark and energy in that division. Of course, there are plenty of players that can do that. The question is, will they be able to attract those players? Of course, you wouldn't expect someone like a Mikey Petratos to probably stay on in VPL1, but there's plenty to like about the likes of Dion Nicolaides and Campbell Dovison and players that are young, have spent time in perhaps A-League youth systems that can come across to the greens and give them that extra energy. It's all about the coaching position. What will Adam Pittock do? What will Andy Elderton do as assistant? See how that plays out in the next few months as Theo Harris rolls it across the face to Kadalu Kamara, who gets it clear. Fulton able to send that one across, but out of play nonetheless. See a triple change for the Bentleigh Greens as well. Offcoming will be Maki Petratos. Sam Grella will come on alongside Kazuto Davies. And Ben Gibber coming off.
So it'll be Luca Resti as well, who's coming on here for Bentleigh.
And it looks as if George Mells will also make his way off the park too for Sam Grella.
As we know, Neil, as well, which is something that all three teams that go down, Green Gully, Dandy Thunder and Bentleigh, there is the cautionary tale of relegation. The last 3 years now, we've seen a team do the double relegation. North Geelong, Moreland City, Port Melbourne. Of course, Port Melbourne, their relegation to VPL2 was locked in last week, along with North Sunshine Eagles, incredibly after making it through the Australia Cup quarterfinals, relegated to VPL2. Of course, with all the changes since the Western United situation continued, and then of course their expulsion from the league, and then meaning that only 2 teams technically go down.
Yeah, there's a lot of mathematics that come into play there, but I think in terms of the economic status of VPL1, there's a very attractive league to play in, but also you have to spend a lot of money to get yourselves out of the division. You look at the current teams that are in the mix for promotion: Juve, Melbourne Knights, who are of course already promoted, Northcote City. Many of those teams, dare I say, would do a hefty job with their current squads in this division, and it speaks to the amount of quality that we have across the 14 teams in this competition. Look at NPL New South Wales, there's of course 16 teams, a 30-game regular season. It puts into question where might we move as a footballing pyramid potentially. Because teams like Bentleigh are more than up to it to stay in a 16-team league, and they've not looked half bad across the 26 games of the season really, and it just shows a few blips can really have a dramatic effect. And they hadn't secured a win for a few months, 3 months prior to that win against Dandenong City a few weeks back, but it was all too little too late.
I think after that, the hope was springing eternal for Bentleigh that maybe, just maybe, they'd be able to mount a late charge, but unfortunately for them, despite their recent uptick in performances, it just hasn't been enough to save them from relegation in 2026. Humbert cutting it back towards McGowan. Matthews doing really well. Couldn't clear it away. Now he does, only as far as Abani. Mudakudis, he has a shot from range, and shot's blocked there by Hillier and cleared away. Collins got ahead to it. Fulton back out to Thea Harris. Heidelberg getting ready to make a double change of their own. Lesiotis. Humbert, or cheeky flick through to Lesiotis and cleared away there by Davies. Mudakudis, Basetto. Mudakudis again. Humbert, Thea Harris, and Heidelberg just happy to sit on the ball. We will see Nicholas Zimos and Asahi Yokokawa for the last few minutes of this game. Nick Zimos, chance to make his second appearance for Heidelberg in the league this season. McGowan Lesiotis back to McGowan. Green jerseys everywhere. The Burgers unable to get the ball in the box.
Big opportunity for Nicholas Zimos as Players trade in the 23s this season. What has been topsy-turvy campaign for Heidelberg youngsters. He's the one that's really stood out in droves, and Okakawa had some meaningful minutes for him in what we can, I think, comfortably at this point say, elimination final against Avondale next week. South Melbourne will likely play Preston as well. The fourth time they'll face each other this season. You'd hope the last.
Still the Australian Championship,
of course,
mate. Still the Australian Championship.
Fixture it's always appetising when they meet. And of course, the winners of those two games will face off against Hume City and of course, the champions, Oakley Cannons, who are currently down 3-2 against Dandenong City. Oakley Cannons will play the lowest ranked of those four teams. Whoever gets through, Hume City will play the second lowest ranked or highest ranked. Depends on which persuasion you might be. And those matches to take place both next week and the week after in the preliminary finals. The grand final held on the 19th of September at Lakeside Stadium.
Have a twist, Neil. Altona have brought one back against Preston. It is 1-1. So right now, South Melbourne will be hosting Heidelberg in the elimination final at Lakeside, and Preston currently are heading on the road to play Avondale next week.
I said quite comfortably. That is the commentator's curse, but in a manner in which I never thought would happen.
Yep, so
there we go. Wowee.
So still twists and turns to see who will play who next week, as Heidelberg now will make their double change. It'll be Ryan Lefleen and Anthony Lesiotis coming off here. Nick Zimos and Asahi Yokokawa on. So there you go. Right now, it will be Heidelberg heading on the road to play at Lakeside Stadium yet again. And Neil, Preston up against Avondale.
It's mouth-watering.
Yeah, I mean,
you salivate at the mouth and you just think of those two games. Any one of those four teams are a chance for the championship, which I don't think I would have said in recent years.
Well, Preston, Avondale, remember the last time they met at Avenger Park? Another one of the classics in this NPL Victoria season. So, tell you what, regardless of how it falls next week, we're getting some great elimination finals.
Still a game to happen here, of course, with the Greens likely to subdue themselves to another defeat.
Organise the line, eh?
Matthews will swing this in towards the back post. Boldea is there. It's hacked away by Max Bisetto. Sam Grella in for Doverson. Open up the angle, he can't. So despite South Melbourne on the precipice of losing to George Cross, they are moments away from securing a home final against Heidelberg United.
Well, it's over at BT Connor.
Oh, wow, it is official. Can you believe it? A gift, an absolute gift from Altona Magic. That is remarkable.
Well, that also locks in for good now, Neil, that Bentleigh are officially relegated from NPL Victoria as well. So, of course, they still had a massive mountain to climb. But that's it. Mathematical, it's done. Bentleigh Greens will be in VPL 1 next season. And Preston, as I said, 1-1 against Altona. Only 1 minute of stoppage time in that game as well. So Preston locked into 6th, barring something crazy happening here and Bentleigh scoring 2 goals in the next couple of minutes.
Well, if you're... Heidelberg have put themselves in a great position. They've got themselves the win. 2 wins, more importantly, have put them in a great spot against South Melbourne, who they defeated just weeks ago. And I can't remember the last time Heidelberg and South Melbourne faced off against each other in finals football. I remember 2016 they faced off here at the Village in the preliminary final in the old format, potentially.
We can fact check that one.
But wow, that a traditional derby in week 1 of finals.
Yep, they met in that first semi-final.
Yep, first semi-final in 2016, yes.
A 2-1 win for South Melbourne that day.
So, just another twist for Heidelberg United, and you'd argue they'd be pretty happy to play against South Melbourne with confidence and the wind in their sails. The final change for the Bentleigh Greens as well. Mario Boldea to come off. And oncoming Big Jack McKernan, of course. 10 starts for 23s this season, and he's been in and around the matchday squads.
So first meeting in a final since that semi-final back in 2016. Of course, they've played in plenty of those Doherty Cup finals, an Australian Championship semi-final, which we saw last year, but not in an NPL Victoria final series since then. This will be Avondale and Preston's first in the NPL era as well. Avani. Shot blocked by Hillier. Sorry, Neil. Ball's out there for a throw-in.
Yes. We won't see another change, but just to focus back on the action, it is, of course, a 2-0 lead for Heidelberg United with goals from Kieran Bramwell and Marcus Hunder at the corner now to come from Asahi Yokokawa.
So into the final few minutes here, games across the league. Finishing still has a couple more remaining. Ball's curled into the back post. Kudus is closing. Goal kick called there by Yanni Zizis, who, Neil, it is Yanni Zizis' final game as refereeing here, announcing his retirement after today. Great servant, fantastic referee here in Victoria for a long time, but he's calling time on his career after today. So congratulations to Yanni on a fantastic tenure.
Strong, net, strong.
And wishing him all the best in what's next for Yanni.
When you think of NPL Victoria referees, Yanni is at the top of the pile. I think I can speak for all of us, Nick. He's been an incredible person to deal with, not just a referee, before and after games. Of course, has a role at FV in referee education as well. And is an inspiration for many coming through the system as referees, young and old. And has paved the way for many, many incredible referees across both the Senol NPLM Men's Victoria era and also down the pyramid too. So we wish him all the best in his next steps. And yeah, what a pleasure it has been to have him referee so many great moments across the years. Of course, referees aren't always the centre of attention, but it's always good to put a spotlight on a great person and a great referee too.
Well over 100 games refereed in the top flight for Yanni Zizis. As we said there, we wish him all the best in what comes next. Let's see him in the finals. 3 more minutes of added time. Thea Harris, few step overs. Straight to Hogan. Greller unable to get there first. Fulton. Here's Yokokawa. Decides to have a go instead of feeding it through to Thea Harris and pulls that one wide of the mark. So, unless Bentleigh scored 2 in second half stoppage time, Neil, it is all but locked in. Heidelberg will finish in 5th and will play South Melbourne next week. Of course, fixture details will be announced very, very soon, so make sure you keep an eye on the Football Victoria socials in the days ahead.
Well, we draw closer to what has been a tantalising 2026 Senol NPL Men's Victoria season. The Greens, Dandenong Thunder, and Green Gully, whose long stints in the top flight of Victorian and Australian football has come to a close. full-timer George Cross. They do the double over South Melbourne this season. But as for the Bentleigh Greens and Heidelberg United, plenty to ponder in the coming weeks. More so for Heidelberg United, as Max Bizzetto could have put the icing on the cake, but denied by the offside flag.
Seconds remaining here. Heidelberg, their 2-goal lead, courtesy of first half goals from Kieran Bramwell and Marcus Humbert. Bentleigh, seconds away, officially. Their season coming to an end, and relegation for them is there's Jack McKernan, who's come on since. And the young kids at Bentleigh Greens getting his opportunity for the final few seconds here. Matthews looking to get forward, Abani putting it out for a throw-in. So Heidelberg's season, from what was looking like it was spiralling, 9-game winless run, they have been able to turn things around in the last fortnight, and now they prepare for essentially the second season, finals time. Win or go home matches really from now on in. And that's it. Heidelberg are through to the finals. That's 3 straight appearances in the postseason. Bentleigh, their 1-season stint in the top flight comes to an end. Relegated back to VPL 1. Heidelberg will continue to dream. They will face South Melbourne in the elimination final next week, finishing in 5th place. Goals from Kieran Bramwell and Marcus Humbert, the difference this afternoon. And now all focus turns to next week. It will be Avondale versus Preston. It will be South Melbourne versus Heidelberg, Neil. And now it's time for finals, but Heidelberg doing what they needed to today. 3 points in the bag. But for Bentleigh, their time in the top flight comes to an end after a single season back in NPL Victoria.
Well, it wasn't quite dramatic in the scope of this game specifically, but all around, Heidelberg will be playing finals football, which is front of mind for them after a disastrous few weeks for them. They composed themselves really well today. It was a professional performance, if any. Very uneventful second half. Both teams really struggling to get out of first and second gear. But what a season it was, Nick. Although still a few more weeks to play. 3 to be exact, as we approach September 19 at Lakeside Stadium for the Senol NPL Men's Victoria Grand Final. It's been a pleasure, Nick.
Absolute pleasure, Neil. Let the fun and games begin of finals football. 6 remain. Only 1 for the crown champions, but Heidelberg's hopes of going back-to-back will live to fight another day. What a matchup it will be next weekend against another team that is red hot at the moment in South Melbourne. Looking forward to getting on out to the grounds over the weeks ahead. Of course, tomorrow, more final day action, final rounds of the NPL women's season. And of course, as well, VPL 1 action to see who will be coming on up to the top tier in 2027. Signing off here from Olympic Village, Neil, it's been a pleasure to be joined by you today. Everyone watching on at home. The final score here, Heidelberg United 2, Bentleigh Greens 0.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah.